A federal judge just gutted a 92-year-old law, and now the government is staring at a deadline that could decide everything. You've probably seen the headlines. The ATF is planning to appeal. New enforcement guidance is looming. And if you own a suppressor or you're thinking about buying one, the next 6 weeks could make the difference between a legal purchase and a federal crime. So let's cut through the noise. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where this case stands, what the government is actually planning, and what you need to do before the rules change again. Don't go anywhere. This gets good. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed to this channel? Because what I'm about to walk you through could save you from a very expensive mistake. I'm not talking about a ticket. I'm talking about federal charges. Hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss a single update on this story as it develops. Now let's set the stage. Here's what just happened on August 5th, 2026. A federal judge in Texas named James Wesley Hendricks made history. He ruled that major parts of the National Firearms Act are unconstitutional. The NFA is the 1934 law that controls suppressors, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and machine guns. For 92 years, it worked the same way. You pay a $200 tax. Fill out a form. You get fingerprinted. You wait months for approval, and you register your item with the federal government. That was the deal. That's how it always worked. But here's what changed. Last year, Congress passed a massive budget bill called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Buried deep inside it was something gun owners had fought for 4 decades. Congress cut the tax on suppressors, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and a few other items all the way down to $0. That took effect on January 1st, 2026. The famous $200 tax stamp became a $0 stamp, and that created a legal earthquake because the entire NFA system was built on that tax. The tax was the engine that made the whole thing run. Without the tax, the government lost its main justification for making you register. Judge Hendricks agreed. He said the registration and approval requirements for those items now exceed what Congress is allowed to do under the Constitution. So he blocked the ATF from enforcing them against the people in the case. Now this case has a name. It's called Silencer Shop Foundation v. ATF. It was combined with another case called Jensen v. ATF, and the list of people who sued is long. It includes Silencer Shop, Palmetto State Armory, B&T USA, Gun Owners of America, and several other groups. 15 states joined as plaintiffs too: Texas, Alaska, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Montana, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. The judge gave the government 7 days to appeal. That deadline came and went. The Justice Department did not file an emergency appeal. So on August 13th, the injunction went into effect. Right now, today, a federal court has blocked the ATF from enforcing NFA registration against the parties in this case. That's the biggest change. 2 suppressor laws since 1934. I'm not exaggerating, but here's the part that should worry you. This is not a nationwide ruling. It protects the people who sued. Not everyone. Not you automatically. And now the government has a decision to make. That's where the appeal comes in. And that's where this story gets really interesting. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video. I'm breaking down exactly which states this ruling protects and which states it doesn't. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Now, here's something most people get wrong. The ATF doesn't file appeals. The Justice Department does. The ATF is the agency that enforces the law on the street. The DOJ is the one that defends the law in court. So when you hear people say the ATF is planning to appeal, what they really mean is the Justice Department is deciding whether to fight back. And right now, they're deciding. And here's the timeline that matters. The government has until October 5th, 2026, to appeal this ruling. That's the standard 60-day deadline. It's a hard date. If the DOJ files an appeal, the whole thing moves to a higher court. That would be the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and that could take years to resolve. If they don't appeal, the ruling stands, at least for now. So what are they going to do? Here's the honest answer. Nobody knows. The Justice Department has been completely silent. They didn't ask for an emergency stay. They didn't file an emergency appeal. They just let that first deadline pass. And that silence is driving everyone crazy, because silence is a choice, and nobody knows what it means. Let me break this down for you. There are really 3 possibilities. First, the DOJ could appeal. That would mean years of litigation. The injunction could stay in place while the appeal runs, or a higher court could freeze it. Second, the DOJ could ask for a stay. That would pause the injunction while they figure out their next move. That would be bad news for people buying suppressors right now. And third, the DOJ could do nothing. Some gun rights groups are reporting that's exactly what's going to happen. They're saying the DOJ is planning to let this ruling stand. If that's true, it's a massive win, but I want to be careful here. That's a report. It's not confirmed. The government still has until October 5th, and they could change their mind at any moment, so don't bank on it. Don't make plans based on a rumor. Watch the deadline. That's the date that matters. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Because here's the thing, even if the DOJ never appeals, this story is far from over, and that brings us to the part nobody's talking about, the guidance that's coming. Hey, most of the people watching right now aren't subscribed yet. Don't be part of that group. Join the gun owners who get these legal updates first. Click subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. The ATF has not issued a single piece of guidance since this ruling dropped. Think about that. The agency that enforces the NFA has said nothing. They haven't told gun stores what to do. They haven't told dealers how to handle transfers. They haven't told anyone what's legal and what's not. And that silence is a problem. A big one. The largest firearms trade group in the country, the NFA, has actually asked the ATF to issue guidance. They want clear rules so gun stores can stay in compliance. The plaintiffs in the case have sent letters to the DOJ and the ATF asking for clarity too. So far, nothing. The guidance is coming. Everyone expects it, but nobody knows what it will say, and that's the scariest part. So let me walk you through the open questions, because these are the things the guidance will have to answer, and some of them could change your plans completely. First, short-barreled rifles and short-barreled shotguns. This is a trap. The judge blocked the NFA requirements for these items. But there's another law, the Gun Control Act, that still requires a form for them. The judge didn't touch that law. So right now, SBRs and SBSs still need a Form 4. If you're thinking about buying one, slow down. The old paperwork is still required, at least until the ATF gives us something new. Second, interstate travel. The ruling didn't cover this. There are still federal laws that say you can't transport an unregistered NFA item across state lines. So if you buy a suppressor under this injunction and then you drive it to another state, you could be breaking the law. The ATF hasn't said how they'll handle this. Nobody knows. That includes moving to a new state, taking it to a range out of state, or shipping it for repair. Third, the background check. This is the part people forget. Even with the injunction, you still need a background check. You still fill out a standard form. The Gun Control Act wasn't touched, so suppressors are not just flying off shelves with zero paperwork. There's still a check. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Fourth, the registration records. Here's a weird one. The ATF keeps a database of every registered NFA item. It's called the NFRTR. When a suppressor is sold under the injunction without a Form 4, the dealer stays in the database as the owner. Nobody knows how those records get cleaned up. The ATF hasn't said, and that could create problems down the road. And fifth, state law. This is the one that could hurt you the most. The federal ruling is one thing, but your state might have its own laws on top of it. Some states tie suppressor ownership to federal registration. If the federal registration goes away, those state laws become a trap. You could own the suppressor legally under federal law and still be breaking your state law. That's a real risk. A handful of states even ban suppressors completely. California, Illinois, New York, and a few others. For those people, this ruling changes nothing. So here's the picture. The ruling is real, but the rules are still being written, and the ATF's guidance, when it comes, could change everything overnight. That's why you need to be paying attention. Right now, this information could literally change after October 5th. Subscribe now, because the next video explains exactly what you need to do before that deadline hits. Let me give you a hypothetical example to make this real. Imagine you live in Texas. You're not a member of any gun rights group. You walk into a gun store and buy a suppressor. The store is one of the companies that sued. So your purchase is covered. You walk out with your suppressor. No Form 4, no fingerprints, no months of waiting. Just a background check and you're done. Now imagine your neighbor, same state, same store, but he bought his suppressor from a different company, one that didn't sue. His purchase is not covered. He could be in a completely different legal situation. Same state, same product, 2 different outcomes. That's how confusing this moment is, and here's the part that should make you pause. The coverage in this case is tied to membership and customers. If you're a member of a group that sued, you're covered. If you buy from a company that sued, you're covered. If you're just a regular citizen in a plaintiff state, you might not be covered at all. Some attorneys general are arguing that residents are protected, but the industry says they're not. That fight is still happening, and nobody has won it yet. So what should you actually do? Here's my practical advice, and I want you to hear this clearly. First, don't assume you're covered just because of where you live. Check the details. Second, if you want the strongest protection, buy From a company that was part of the case or join a group that was part of the case. That's the certain route. Third, know your state law. Your state might have its own requirements that have nothing to do with the federal ruling. And fourth, watch for the ATF guidance. When it drops, it could change everything. Subscribe so you see it the moment it happens. And one more thing. If you're thinking about buying a suppressor, there's a real argument for doing it now. Because right now, we're in a window. The injunction is in effect. The rules are loose. But that window could close at any moment. If the DOJ asks for a stay, or if the ATF issues restrictive guidance, the door could slam shut. So if you've been waiting, this might be the moment. But do it smart, do it legally, and do it with your eyes open. So here's your bottom line. A federal judge struck down the NFA registration requirements for suppressors and short-barreled firearms. The Justice Department has until October 5th to appeal, and the ATF is about to issue guidance that could change the rules at any moment. Right now, we're in a window, and windows like this don't stay open forever. If you own a suppressor or you're thinking about buying one, this is the moment to pay attention. Because when the guidance drops or when the DOJ makes its decision, the rules could shift overnight. Don't be the person who finds out after the fact. Look, I spend hours digging through court orders and legal filings so you don't have to. The least you can do is hit that subscribe button and join the community. Because when this story moves again, and it will move again, you'll want to hear it here first. Deal. And remember, this video is for education only. It is not legal advice. If you're facing a real legal question, talk to a lawyer in your state. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.